Something to say about these Sportskeeda year-end awards. And it's not going to be pretty for the other people doing award shows because all these other polls are fixed. They are all homers. Whoever is leading the polls are leading them in a certain direction. There was no trying to convince me one way or another. This was a straight poll. I know a lot of people from Russo's brand. A lot of people were involved in this poll, a lot of great former wrestlers, and I know they were honest to the T. Nobody tried to sway anybody in any way. So I give credit to Sportskeeda for having the first ever legitimate, let me say that again, legitimate year-end awards. Congratulations to you, Sportskeeda.
We got a lot of news today. If you love kicking in a forbidden door, well, it's become a revolving door, and someone big is coming through it. Who is showing up that is a free agent that is going to slam the door behind them, apparently, in the words of Tony Khan? Is his internet social media hype going to deliver tonight on Dynamite? We will find out, and we have more details on who that potential person could be. Kurt Angle has revealed more about his current role or the role he was supposed to have recently in WWE, plus a lot more news about Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler and tag team gold aspirations. We have a lot to get into on today's Sportskeeda Wrestling top story of the day. You share the link or you stink.
Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out!
If you're live or on demand, you know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you to the more than 25,000 that are following on YouTube. The more than 2.9 million impressions that we've made with videos.
And millions.
And millions on Facebook. So we're very, very thankful to you guys. I'm Kev Kellam. That is Jose G and Jeremy Bennett. A lot to jump into today, guys. A lot of anticipation for today with All Elite Wrestling. And Tony Khan has been the internet hype man for this for about a week or so. Definitely leading the weekend with several different tweets that have indicated that a big debut is occurring on tonight's Dynamite. And Fightful Select, old Millennial Meltzer himself, Sean Rossett, reporting something just in the last few minutes before we went live today. Jeremy, what do we got?
We got a couple of reports. First off, a couple of Fightful Select reports. Of course, they talked about during the List Goes On show today. They revealed they have collectively heard throughout the week of the surprises, and of course, talking about the Forbidden Door, and of course, talking about Keith Lee. Of course, Forbidden Door kind of used a little loosely here because Keith Lee is actually a free agent. A lot of people thought with vague tweets they were referring to New Japan star Switchblade Jay White as the possible surprise, with multiple reporters hearing that he was that potential surprise. Fightful could not confirm nor deny that, but there was speculation for Jay White. Then, literally minutes ago, Fightful Select dropping the knowledge that they have learned that Keith Lee is planned for a run in AEW, and that run is to come into the company imminently. Throughout the past weekend, talent began speculating that Lee would be joining AEW, as we mentioned on the top story earlier in the week, that was the consensus of who that might be tonight. Still, they said it's not a sure thing. Lee is headed to AEW, but not a sure thing about tonight. So they are still kind of keeping tight-lipped on who is going to be there tonight. There is, it's going to be most likely going to be the guy that's going to face Isaiah Cassidy in the qualifier for the Face of the Revolution ladder match that will take place. And so that is not sure if Lee's going to debut there or not. So it doesn't mean it necessarily is Lee tonight. It could be somebody else. But obviously, with learning that was not their honeymoon photo, it was an old photo from almost a year and a half ago.
They're working people.
Keith Lee is definitely in play.
How dare they use their social media to lead fans
to troll
on?
people? I know, for real.
Keith Lee seems like the leader in the clubhouse right now, but still not 100% confirmed. Maybe somebody else comes in tonight. Keith Lee comes in later. But obviously we will find out in about an hour and a half. That's for sure.
Certainly compelling here, right, Jose? This is what they're known for. If AEW is going to have, and this is not a shot, if they're not going to have the chunk of the pie that WWE has, they're certainly going to stir up their fan base to be anticipating something and get more people to tune in. You got competition for the Olympics. You got competition on basic cable. They're still competing with everything else. Wednesday night is still their night. They've been above 1 million a few, but this is going to be a show where I think they, we have other people saying, who's a needle mover here? Sean Lee saying Keith Lee isn't a needle mover for them. But that's to be seen here. This is interesting. This is compelling, isn't it?
I absolutely agree that it is compelling. It's very interesting. It's eyebrow raising. It's intriguing. Everything that we've been reporting is just kind of lining up to what we're going to be seeing tonight, hopefully. But it's, I don't know what's going to happen here, because a lot of people want it to be Keith Lee, but what if it's not Keith Lee? Then people are going to be upset and bitch about that, So one thing that I can tell you for certain is that even though that Tony Khan is a businessman, the guy's a hell of a promoter. The guy knows how to rile up and work social media and get you talking and get you riled up and get you interested about something, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who it is, because whoever he brings out, what if he brings out a New Japan guy? Yeah, the AEW people will pop up people that don't follow wrestling like that, who are, casual fans. They're not going to know who Tama Tonga is. They're not going to know who Jay White is. The AEW crowd is, because that's their base, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's not appealing to the commercial crowd. So it has to be a massive name. He says it's a big signing. Who is it going to be? I don't know. Now I'm starting to lean to someone from WWE.
Yeah, because it's weird though when you say casual. Keith Lee wasn't a big star to the casual fan because he was booked poorly on the main roster, but yet he was a star to those that watched NXT, which is more of a diehard crowd. Tony Khan also appeared on Busted Open Radio this morning and said this about tonight's episode. I will say I'm going to try and satisfy a lot of fans tonight. I've had a lot of thoughts over the weekend about how to do that and what that means. I think we're going to have a great show. I've pivoted on some plans even in the last few days, in a good way, to make the show even better, I think. It's just going to be an awesome night. There are a lot of fun things already announced, and there's more things we're going to do that we have not announced yet. One thing we've teased, that there's going to be a surprise debut, somebody who has signed a contract with AEW. That person's going to debut tonight in a match with Isaiah Cassidy, where the winner goes to the face of the Revolution ladder match at the pay-per-view. I'm excited for this person to make their debut, and there's more exciting stuff, too.
So
it's Shane McMahon.
So it is confirmed there. So he is going to be taking on Isaiah Cassidy now. Well, maybe Tony's swerving us, and we have two big debuts tonight. Maybe Cross and Scarlett.
I think we're going to get more than one. I think we're going to get more than one tonight.
I said Swerve last night, but then our very own SP3 let me know that honeymoon photo was not a honeymoon photo. So then I'm like, it's Keith Lee.
And it's almost like Keith Lee wanted you to think he wasn't going to be there, and he is.
Now, Swerve.
I don't blame him for doing it.
No, I don't either. I mean,
I don't
everybody.
blame him for doing it.
A lot of wrestlers troll on the internet. Bailey, for example, has been doing it a lot lately.
Yes.
Now, who's to say it can't be Swerve that debuts in that, and then Keith Lee shows up at the end of the night? There's some wild things that Tony could have up his sleeve tonight, but
I'm hoping that all the hype behind tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite reflects later on in the ratings, because last week with MJF and CM Punk, it was highly, highly anticipated, and they didn't break 1 million.
Yeah, they did close to it. It was still fair rating. I mean, mind you,
but they didn't break it. Numbers are numbers, Kevin.
I got to say, this is a media person. Every time ratings come out, and this is across the board, this includes WWE or anything. Anytime those ratings comes out, the margin of error is not like 10 or 15% for an overnight rating. The margin of error is 30 to 40. So you're definitely breaking 1 million on that show. Is it going to be above a 1.5 or something like that? People say, "Oh, the Raw numbers are the worst they've ever." I was like, they're still clearing like 2.5 million people a week. That's just in the United States. That's a domestic number, and it doesn't include Hulu, and it doesn't include on demand or DVR past 72 hours. It doesn't include Hulu at all. It doesn't include clips. social media stuff. So, I mean, Dynamite's going to reach millions of people tonight. Raw reached millions of people last night. NXT reached millions of people on a weekly basis. And no matter how many people want to figure that in. And then they talk about demo numbers and all these different things because it's tribalism and they want to be able to win an argument with a stranger on the internet they're never going to meet. The ratings, the Nielsen rating system is
broken.
Is beyond broken. It's extremely flawed. Think about this, guys. If the three of us were Nielsen households, okay, we would represent hundreds of thousands of viewers. How do the three of us represent hundreds of thousands of viewers?
And my cable provider is YouTube TV. So
yeah. So and then those YouTube TV numbers, they're a marginal part of an overnight rating, which I don't understand because there's more people that are doing that type of alternative internet cable type presentation. So, I mean, it's a whole different thing, you know. Ratings don't mean shit. They do mean shit because they base your rates of advertising and different things like that. So you still have to play that game. They still have to play that game. That's the business they're in. That's what their TV rates are determined by.
There's more channels, but there's also more ways to view your product. So
exactly,
sure, there's more channels, so your Nielsen rating goes down, but there's also more ways to consume the product that are not seen in a Nielsen rating.
I saw 20 minutes of NXT live last night, and then I watched the rest when I got home today. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like, did I not watch NXT?
Yeah.
Am I not a viewer? Like, what is that? You know?
Yeah, I went to Jackass, so I didn't watch it until I watched the whole thing like an hour after it was off the air. So
yeah. So I mean, Jackass good, by the way.
Oh yeah,
I've heard good things.
Right now, I'm binging. I'm binge watching Succession. If you've never watched Succession, I highly recommend it. So I watched that before I watch NXT because all I want to do is just fast forward, and I'll just spend like 45 minutes watching NXT.
And while we're on the alternative cable thing, Jeremy,
it's YouTube TV. Yeah, it's YouTube TV. It's not YouTube. It's YouTube TV. So it's their cable. It's like Sling TV. Other Hulu Live TV. It's the live subscription that you pay $65 a month for. So yeah, TNT is on YouTube TV, or TBS too now.
Yeah. Let's get into this Kurt Angle story. Kurt Angle was present. I saw him. It was not a hidden secret that he was in St. Louis during Royal Rumble week where they were filming a lot of different things for WWE Network on Peacock. And Kurt revealed on his own podcast that he had been pitched for a multi-week role in WWE. Now, Fightful Select is revealing here that this role would have been him a part of the current RK Bro versus Alpha Academy angle, which has seen them been doing these kind of like in-ring skits and the scholastic decathlon they've been doing, a la Billy Madison. What you just said was the stupidest thing I have ever heard, and we're all dumber for having heard it. Billy Madison, go seek it out. Comedy classic. So I would have loved if Kurt Angle got to drop that line on somebody. Anyway, so he was supposed to be a part of this, and they were going to make it like a 3 eyes challenge, which I thought was actually pretty interesting.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they backed away from doing that, and then he also would have been potentially a special guest referee for the Elimination Chamber. And so
I'll tell you what,
that would have been incredible. That would have been awesome.
I'll tell you what. I wonder, you know why they nixed those plans? Because they realized they could put their trust in Chad Gable to perform, and he's been performing.
He's great.
These last 3 weeks, I think they realized once they started this challenge 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, the first week of the challenge, they realized, we don't really need Angle now. I think.
Shush!
Don't boo education. Don't boo education. That needs to be on a T-shirt too. I'm surprised it's not on a T-shirt yet.
I am the master.
I graduated with a master's degree with an impeccable 4.0. Thank you. No, don't do that. Don't boo education. I love it. It's great.
Ham.
It's
Ham.
Absolutely great.
Ham. I think
listen,
that's
Chad
why.
Gable's doing some great stuff right now, and I think they're priming him up for a singles run. Don't be surprised if he's in the top tier of Monday Night Raw in the next year or two.
I think that's why they decided, okay, Angle, we don't need you, because they realized finally that it took them a long time, but they realized Gable can do what he's been doing this past month.
It's nice that Kurt Angle can still have a role on television. I think that it's worth noting he's still Kurt Angle. Is he going to be able to physically do some of the things he used to do? No, I think he would have been given people an Angle slam, maybe a couple ankle locks, like we've seen Stone Cold do when his in-ring days were done. Did that for years. after his competitive in-ring days were done. So, and also Kurt did have a role as a producer in WWE before the pandemic started. I spoke with people that were producing with WWE at the time as well, and said that he was kind of just getting the hang of it, and he was the idea was it was going to take him a while to make this transition into a completely new role in his life, but they wanted his intelligence for wrestling and sports to be involved. Having him a part of your company, I think, is really, really keen. I think he'd be a great asset to NXT if they could get him there, and he could really develop something, especially when you're bringing in athletes and collegiate athletes, and you want to turn them into. This is the guy who's made that transition the best.
Never thought about that. That's actually a really great point, just because him, along with Shawn Michaels, working behind the scenes with the NXT talent, I think that could could improve what NXT 2.0 is trying to do right now. So yeah, I think that's a great idea, Kevin.
And even if you want to have him involved with the Next in Line program where he's recruiting, he would be a great recruiter because he understands the development of a collegiate athlete and how hard of a switch that is to go to this very physical form of entertainment. He'd be the best guy for it here. Let's jump into story number 3, guys. Story number 3. This one's interesting.
Before we jump into our last story of the day, we got to plug in.
Plug.
We got to plug in the Sportskeeda Wrestling Awards, guys.
So
if you guys didn't catch the very top of the show,
bro,
our Legion of Raw host Vince Russo had a message regarding the Sportskeeda Wrestling Awards, because there's all these different awards among the internet wrestling community, but we all know that those awards are not taken by the people. Those are polls internally, so they're really, really skewed. So Vince Russo has a message for every single one of you guys that tune in here to the top story and have voted and are about to vote. You know what? Let me just shut up and let me just play the video.
I got a little something to say about these Sportskeeda year-end awards. And it's not going to be pretty for the other people doing award shows, because all these other polls are fixed. They are all homers. Whoever is leading the polls are leading them in a certain direction. There was no trying to convince me one way or another. This was a straight poll. I know a lot of people from Russo's brand. A lot of people were involved in this poll. A lot of great former wrestlers. And I know they were honest to the T. Nobody tried to sway anybody in any way. So I give credit to Sportskeeda for having the first ever legitimate, let me say that again, legitimate year-end awards. Congratulations to you, Sportskeeda.
So, guys, to keep track of who's going to be winning these awards, make sure you follow us on all of our social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, everywhere. We got tons of interviews with a lot of the panelists that are going to be on there. Panelists like Rob Van Dam, the whole damn show. All right. We're going to have Adam Shearer, Braun Strowman. He's going to be one of the panelists. DDP. So
I'm interested to hear his take. It's a
big panel among the wrestling community, picked by you guys. You guys have the power, so make sure you go vote right now. Sportskeeda.com/wrestling-awards.
And this ain't a small awards. Already 10,000 votes have been casted worldwide, so that's pretty significant. You know, and then combining it in with the expert version of this too. You know, this is quite the event. I think some of the nominations have already this person's not there, this person's there. That's every award show. We were to start yesterday. The Oscar nominations came out. People were like, how did this movie not get nominated? It's every award show. Or I really think this person needs to win. So go see the nominees. Go pick the matches. And it isn't just best wrestler of the year. We have best male wrestler, best female wrestler, best match. And then we also have best heel, best villain, who played the role specifically the best. So we get into the specifics as well. So definitely go check it out. Sportskeeda.com/wrestling-awards. That is Sportskeeda.com/wrestling-awards. Let's get into story number 3 if we can. Ronda Rousey coming in from the MMA world. I just recorded a very, very cool video. I think it's dropping very soon. About her making the transition from a mother back into WWE. That video will be dropping tonight on our Facebook feed and our WrestleBinge channel. She has expressed a desire to be a tag team champion with her 4 horsewomen of MMA partner, Shayna Baszler, who has also collected WWE gold in her own right. She was a tag team champion as well, Shayna Baszler, and a former NXT champion. Interesting here, the two of them as a tag team, that would really do something. You know, that star power of Ronda is undeniable. And obviously, Shayna's already proven herself quite a bit here in WWE. It would be quite compelling, wouldn't it, Jeremy, to see these two as a tag team?
Yeah, definitely. Ronda Rousey was recently on her Facebook page doing a gaming stream, and a viewer had asked about them teaming up in WWE, and Ronda said, quote, "Me too. I want to tag with Shayna so bad, guys. Just make demands for it online nonstop." They look at that shit. So she also went on and said that she believes they could hold tag team gold together and encourages fans to make it trend online so WWE can pay attention to the demands. She went on to say, "Me and Shayna should be tag champs. Guys, make it a trend. They'll pay attention. Keep asking for it. They pay attention to socials," is what Ronda says.
It would be certainly interesting here to see them come back with a super-powered tag team like this, a mega-powered. They kind of tried this a little bit.
Definitely put some relevance on the women's tag team titles because they have not been relevant ever since Queen Zelina and Carmella got a hold of them. It's not a knock on any of them.
No,
it's just
they just aren't featured enough.
They're just not
featured. They're not booked well, because they're both really great talents individually. I just don't think that they mesh very well. Now, on the other hand, we got Ronda and Shayna, two out of the 4 horsewomen of MMA becoming tag team champions. I think that'll put some immediate relevance on those titles.
Stephen Chambers saying, "Be cool to see Ronda and Shayna tag teaming. WWE needs more tag teams. Unreal. The Carmella and Vega tag team. They're the only team right now." True. Mika saying, "WWE dropped the ball with the WWE Horsewomen versus the MMA Horsewomen storyline. That was teased in NXT years ago." That is a reference if you don't know what that is. Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir, prominent MMA fighters, were also in the WWE system at one point, along with Ronda and Shayna. And then you have they were the 4 horsewomen of MMA, and they were always throwing as training partners. They were always throwing up the big 4. Ronda's a big wrestling fan. She worked that into that culture. So I was like, oh, that's cool. There's a lot of MMA people that are wrestling fans too. So they carry that over into their transition to pro wrestling itself with WWE. And then you have these established stock of in wrestling, come from wrestling talents that came up at NXT about 5-6 years ago in Bayley, Becky, Sasha, Charlotte. They were the 4 horsewomen, and they had their big moment where they threw up the big 4 fingers and showed what they meant to WWE in Brooklyn at an NXT takeover a few years ago. If you've never seen that takeover, it's one of the better WWE shows the last decade, right? Go see it.
Greatest NXT show of all time, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sasha and Bayley. Psh.
Amazing. And the end of the show is all 4 of them throwing those fingers up. Mm-hmm. Now, did they drop the ball with that? I think they did, but I always think there's still time. There's still a few years a year where you can come back to that and do that again if you want to. I know Marina Shafir is still a little active here with wrestling, doing some stuff with AEW quietly. Jessamine Duke, I'm not clear on what her status was. Both of them were released. So they were released in the big crop of different things here. Shayna Baszler still very active in the system.
She's just doing her gaming stuff right now.
Yeah.
We're living in the weirdest timeline, because just imagine if COVID wouldn't have happened and nothing in the world wouldn't have shut down and Ronda would have come back and decided not to have her kid, right? Maybe we would have had that because right now Becky's coming into her prime. Mm-hmm. Charlotte is still on the cusp of getting into her prime. Like
Bayley's back any day now.
Bayley's going to be back any day now, all right? And she is right up there getting into her prime as well when she had that tremendous run in 2020, Dude, all of these women, Sasha Banks, also another one that's all the way up there in her prime. Right now would be, within the next year or two, would be the perfect moment to pull the trigger on that if we can get Marina Shafir and I forget the other ones. That's Roderick Strong's wife. What's her name?
Marina Shafir.
No, Marina Shafir and the other one. What's the other?
Jessamine Duke.
Jessamine Duke. That'll be the time to maybe get a reunion. And I don't know. You can live in a perfect world, but I don't think that's going to happen right now.
We had another story. I know this is on the lighter back end of different things with AEW. Is the focus is who they're bringing in, right? Mm-hmm. And I wanted to cover this before we sign off here and try and get it away from that conversation, which is one that people are excited about and it's very fun and it's very eager. And like, I know, Jeremy, you and I have talked about this before, and I've talked about it with you separately, Jose. But now you got Tony Khan going on the record because he has to, because he's so open and transparent as a promoter. He's so not WWE and how he's operating things, right? He is the company. He's the face of AEW. He's going to tell you to almost the complete degree of how he wants to operate the company. WWE, they won't do that. They'll promote, market, but maybe they don't have to. Khan's different. It's a smaller scope. So he's going to pull back the curtain a little bit, but still keep it closed in terms of these big surprises. Now, he's gone on the record here and has said, I have to make difficult decisions in terms of who gets to keep their contracts. This was a very interesting and very revealing thing. And you can tell the wording was very selective in this quote that ran here this week in a certain report. We've heard it for a while that their role is not going to be, we're not going to release anyone unless they cause a problem, or they do something. They've done it with a few people, right? But we're not going to release you. We're just going to let your contract ride out. And then he kind of had to save face in the same quote saying, I employed people during the pandemic when we weren't using them on television. And that was our first year of TV, which is completely true. He's giving them work, right? But we're cutting off the gravy train here at some point because I'm bringing in a lot of new talent. Yeah. What do you guys think about this statement? Because he was also saying I have to judge them based on their fan response. And that's true.
I think as a business person, you have to keep what's going to make sense for your company. If you're bringing on talent that's going to move the needle and put more eyes on your product, then you're going to have to trim some of that fat that's not putting the eyes on the product. You know what I'm saying? So I'm taking that statement as a business person because I think like that myself. I think I run my own business at home, with all the other stuff that I do here. So I'm thinking what's going to be better from a company standpoint, and I got to make sacrifices. I think he also said I can't buy out everyone's free agency contract. I can't do that. Some people are going to have to let their contracts expire, and that's okay. Maybe he can pay him per match appearance or something like that. But when he says something like that, he's looking in the longevity of the company, which I applaud him for. And hopefully this big signing is going to put some eyes on the product.
Yeah, I mean, he's just telling the truth. You can't you're signing a lot of people.
Absolutely.
That means you can't re-sign these people you've originally brought in, unfortunately. People are wondering, well, how are you going to fit everybody in? Well, eventually people are not going to be re-signing. Some people will choose not to re-sign. Some people, AEW will choose not to re-sign them. So, there's going to be a lot of movement within the next year because a lot of contracts are going to be running out of those initial contracts that came.
And you're gonna see people that were in All Elite Wrestling get picked up by WWE or get picked up by Impact or get picked up by New Japan or vice versa. And it's a matter of this, and I think this is going to be a hard pill for some AEW fans to swallow, is the idea that AEW is going to let some people go. But the way they're doing it is definitely like, I'm not going to do what WWE did where they're just releasing people in budget cuts, right? We're not going to do that. We're just going to let our contract go up. So, to me, it's much more of a PR move. It's much more of a, we're going to give you the least amount of money while we're not using you, and then contract's done. And why don't you say something nice about us on Twitter, and we'll bring you back for a couple shots here and there.
Yeah. As far as some AEW talent going to WWE, as far as with all the stuff that we've seen these last 6 months with all the releases and the new direction of where the company is going, I don't expect WWE to sign any like low name AEW talents. If they are going to sign an AEW talent, it's going to be someone big like MJF, right? Like someone that's been creating waves.
If I'm Brian Cage, I'd want to be on SmackDown now. There's some guy
injured right now though.
Who knows? He's wrestling indies. He was doing a match with Hammerstone this last weekend. I can tell you that. Hammerstone, I worked AAW. I was hey, is Hammerstone on the show tonight? No. He's in Las Vegas wrestling Brian Cage.
Yeah, he wrestled Jonah a couple weeks ago in Iowa.
Yeah,
that'd be a great get. That would be a great get.
You got that guy. They do not. There is no plan for him. There is no plan for a guy like that. And there's some people that AEW did decide to re-sign and did want to keep going with. There's some other guys there that I could see are on the older end that maybe are looking at now the producer stage of their career.
Oh, that's why Kazarian just signed a deal. So
yeah. Exactly. But no, there'll be some talent there that'll become a part of the open market. Independent wrestling is going to be really fun here in the next few months. I'm waiting for I'm waiting for all those announcements for WrestleMania week.
Matt Cardona
we had that great wave between 2014 and 2016 in independent wrestling and just how amazing it was. We're starting to get that again now in 2022. Sorry, Jeremy.
And Matt Cardona's proof that you don't need to be on a big televised brand in order to make a living in the independents. And I mean, look at the reaction Marco Stunt got when he returned to GCW. He's going to do fine in GCW and other promotions as well if AEW doesn't retain him. But right now, both Marco, especially Janela, is still on the table. It's not a done deal that they're not going to get re-signed, but you got to wonder though at that point too. So,
but also they're in a position where they don't need to keep everyone. You know, so that's part of it. You know, it's just unfortunate. You know what I mean? You don't have enough television. You don't have enough time on TV to feature all these people. And that's the truth of the matter. It's unfortunate. What's going to happen with
show?
So we're going to have an AEW post show that isn't going to be on our main Facebook channel. It's still something that's annoying, but we're going to be on our Sportskeeda All Elite Wrestling channel tonight after AEW, covering the big surprise with Dynamite, covering what's going on with NXT. Dolph Ziggler showing up at NXT. That was awesome.
That was a good segment.
Loved it. Loved it.
That was a good segment.
Some very good stuff there on NXT this week. So,
so
we'll be covering that. The debrief coming up tonight at 9 Central, 10 Eastern, 9 Central, 10 Eastern. And you can get that on demand as well on our podcast channel. We'll drop in a bunch of different audio on there as well. If you want to check it out on Spotify, on Apple, give us a 5-star review on there too.
Yeah, guys, that's tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard. Myself, Enrico El Glorioso, on the debrief covering NXT and AEW Dynamite. Should be a good show. So make sure if you're watching, and we'll usually watch us on Facebook, go ahead and like the Sportskeeda All Elite page. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, guys, let's get out of here. Do your plugs.
I'm going to be live doing stand-up comedy Thursday night in Madison, Wisconsin at Red Rock Saloon. You can see my comedy and all my clips and dates and stuff like that at my website, kevinkellam.com. And I'm on the radio as well. You can catch me on 97.7 QLZ in Springfield and on 104.9 The X in Rockford, Illinois. Those are streaming on TuneIn. They're streaming on Odyssey, any of the different apps worldwide. Jeremy, what's going on with you? Are you now going to join the cast of Jackass?
I should. No, there was a lot of inflicting pain to the balls that I do not want to take part in. A lot of that, but it was good. It was hilarious.
No,
it was a good
32
movie.
minutes in, balls were referenced. Okay.
No, yeah. I was gonna say,
there's a lot of male genitalia in the movie.
Yeah, balls were referenced in the movie, literally from second one. So, just follow me on the Twitter at JB Huskers. I'll be live tweeting the good times tonight. So we'll see what goes down tonight. So follow me on the Twitter, and I'll be yapping throughout the show.
Go ahead and give me a follow on all my socials on Instagram, Twitter, on TikTok at Jose G Official. I'm very active on all of those, and make sure you go ahead and give me a follow. I'll be live tonight again at 10 p.m. here on the Debrief on Sportskeeda Wrestling.
And as always, we say this to you, no matter who comes through that door tonight, you're watching because you want to have fun, okay? And just take a deep breath. Let the good guys be good guys. Let the bad guys be bad guys. Boo them, cheer them. Get off your seat. All right? Get off the dirt sheet. Get off your seat and enjoy wrestling.
That's right. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Talk to them.
Let me talk to you.
Watch out, watch out.